Okay, so not Hermione. Selfie Hermione. Duck face Hermione.
Hello, folks! Whoa.
That was a little scary for Miss Hermione. This is Hermione.
Say hi to the camera, Hermione.
Say hi.
Say hi to the people.
Say hi. Hi.
She looks so freaked out.
She's scared. It's okay. I'll just squeeze her mouth.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of The Bachelorette with Rachel Lindsay. Thought this day would never come.
We're kind of happy that it did.
Yeah, it's finally arrived. If you're a keen observer, you'll notice that we skipped the Men Tell All episode, and that's intentional. Where are you going? Where are you going?
She doesn't know. Look, she's shaking.
Where are you going,
Look at her
Hermione?
tail.
No, go that way. You'll notice that we skipped the Men Tell All episode, and that's mostly just because there's just too much to just freak out about there, because it was a really rough episode, and we have plenty to talk about with this one. So if you really want to see it, leave a comment in the comments below and let us know, and we'll record one. But man, we just had so much to say on that one. That
We just felt like we would have just been so negative toward Rachel. Not that that's kept us from other things, but we were just so mad afterward that we just didn't think it was worth it.
Yeah, seriously. So this is going to be kind of a shared recap of the final episode, and also the kind of after the final rose portion, because this season they kind of intermingled it all, and it was kind of like all mixed together because ABC likes to get those ratings, and so they kind of mixed it all together. And so
I don't even
we're
know
gonna
if
do the
that was a
same
good
damn thing.
idea.
No, I hated
Because
it.
everything I've read, everyone hated it.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating and so hard and so cruel
Yeah.
to the men that weren't chosen.
So painful.
Yeah, the man that were, the man that was. I mean,
Seriously, and they just didn't show any of that. I don't know. Let's dive in. All right, folks. We're going to begin with, as always, our All the Feels Award. Megan, you want to take it away?
I'll take it away, sailor.
What?
I haven't even had any of my wine yet. All right, so all the feels this week, I think, for this final week, I think is probably a little obvious. I think we were all feeling really, really sad during this time. And that would be the Peter and Rachel breakup, or the thing that Chris Harrison was just in denial about.
Yeah.
He kept asking them, did you really break up?
He was all about that closure.
He was so annoying. Peter and Rachel were arguing, basically, or getting, as they kept saying, frustrated with each other about the end results, and how Peter didn't want to get engaged at the end and Rachel wanted to get engaged at the end. And we've talked about this over and over again. They've talked about this over and over again, and I don't know, firstly, why Rachel just kept getting so confused about that concept. Peter
So
kept
dumb.
explaining to her,
So
she's
dumb.
a smart woman, like, she should have logically gotten that. Just that whole scene was really hard to watch. There was lots of crying. Rachel said she cried so much she cried her fake eyelashes off.
Yeah.
And Peter rips his shirt off to wipe his face because he had been crying so much. But it was definitely all the feels, in the sense that it was very emotional and really hard to watch, and definitely made us sad. But at the same time, it also gave us an angry feeling and a frustrated feeling, if you will, because Rachel knew this from the get-go. And then she got rid of somebody like Eric, hoping that she could change Peter's mind instead of just going with what she really wanted and seeing what happened and kind of taking that risk. And so it was really frustrating to see them break up before they even got to the point of, the very end of the show. directly following everyone watching that, they had Peter come out, and that was an all the feels moment too. Just like all of that of him kind of asking for closure from her, or just kind of like trying to have a conversation with her, and it just felt like she kept shutting him down, and so he shut down, and it was just a really hard thing to watch. I can't imagine what that would have felt like to have gone through a breakup like that, and then having the whole world watch it, and then having to come talk to that person and about that breakup to the whole world.
And it's so funny too.
So
like, it's so funny. And if you want to see our feelings on the whole like Peter's scenario, check out our last video, which we'll link up here in the corner. I think it should be popping out of the little eye thing right over here. I mean, as a quick recap, like Peter's whole thought was, I get one shot at marriage. To me, marriage and an engagement are the same thing. Like, engagement is a promise of marriage, so I only want to make that once. And that was something that was like pretty foundational to him. And we could assume that he kind of came on the show thinking, well, maybe I'll fall for that really early on, or I'll be one of the many that goes home early. Or you could also assume that he came on the show anticipating that he would be able to win the hearts of many people in America and become the Bachelor, which is a really good assumption. But to be fair, too, it also seems like a pretty big thing to dream about, to be the one person out of all those guys that was going to be the most likely to be the Bachelor, So who knows? But it was definitely hard to watch him just kind of sticking to his guns about something he really believed in, and then kind of being shamed for it by ABC, by Chris Harrison, by Rachel. At one point she was like, she told him that you don't have to make that, it doesn't have to be that way. And he's like, well, it's my choice. I want it to be that way. I only get one shot. And that was something
her eyes.
Yeah, she just couldn't let him have any ownership of that. And that was something that kind of made us the most happy with Peter, was that throughout the whole kind of after the rose, or after the lack of rose, after the final rose ceremony, whatever the whole like scene is called with him sitting on the couch, Chris kept trying to prompt him of like, do you think you made the wrong choice? Do you think that you made the wrong decisions? Would you have changed anything? Like, do you think there's something wrong with you? And asking him all these targeted questions. And we loved how Peter just constantly was like, no, I don't think that at all. And like, he definitely held to the fact that he was there for something that he felt more and more wasn't going to work out. And he was trying to give them both opportunity within that. And Rachel was being unflinching in it. And we really liked that he stuck to his guns.
So our next one, as you guys know, is most angry. Chris, do you want to talk about this one first?
Sure. This is kind of in the same vein.
Well into it.
Yeah, Rachel has this way of getting really angry because of Peter, and she was really frustrated. And the thing that was really baffling to us is, like, she's a lawyer. She should be really good with complicated arguments. And what's not a complicated argument is somebody saying, I think I could have a future with you, but I'm not ready to promise that yet. I want to see if we can be certain of it before I promise that to you. One of the things that Rachel was really angry about was in the heat of their conversation, Peter kept doing everything that he could. In the heat of their breakup, Peter was doing everything that he could to encourage her to just give him a chance, to develop those feelings. He wasn't going to be ready to ask her to marry him tomorrow, like the next day. But he had a very, very strong feeling that they could be married soon, and he kept asking her to give him a chance. And she was refusing to give him that opportunity, which is understandable. I mean, she was on the show to get married. Whatever. Works that way.
If you want to marry Bryan.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it was really funny because Peter, he was getting so frustrated, and his response to Rachel was like, fine, if you want a mediocre life, you can essentially settle with Bryan.
I think I cheered.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, yeah!
We were both like, that's awesome.
That's what we've been thinking the whole time.
And his whole thing was like, I can show you a life that like he won't be able to show you, kind of thing. Which is likely not true either way. Like, I'm sure she probably would have had a pretty good option either way. Honestly, she's probably better off with Bryan for reasons that I think we'll probably talk about later on in this episode. But it was definitely something that Peter said out of emotion, and it was probably one of the least spiteful things you could possibly say during a breakup. Like, you're choosing a boring life or whatever. So of course at the final rose, Rachel re-watches this thing, and then they're sitting on the couch, and Chris Harrison kind of prompts them about it, and Peter, acknowledges that he said something in an emotional moment that he, maybe shouldn't have said on national television, and he apologizes, and she's like, well, I am living my best life. And she shoots back this like snarky, sassy response back to him, which is like, again, totally unnecessary. Like, she was...
And after that point,
yeah,
she was just
mean to him.
And mean, and it was...
And that's when you really saw him shut down. He tried to, at one part, even defend himself further, and he was like, I feel like I'm a little under attack. And as she pressed him, he refused to go into it more. And of course, you could see in her eyes, she was almost like, see, I shut that down because he's not under attack. You could almost see her like having that line of thinking. But of course, for Peter's thoughts are, well, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm literally the one on the couch that, like, I'm supposed to be hated by everybody. Like, I'm supposed to be hated by Rachel and ABC and all of these people. I mean, what am I going to do to try to defend myself? I just can't. And he shut down, and he just kind of stopped talking. All the way down to Rachel pretty much pushing him under the bus and being like, hey, you shouldn't have come on the show. This is clearly not the right choice for you. You definitely made a mistake. You're not made for this kind of thing. This isn't you. I truly hope you find happiness. I truly hope you'll be as happy as I am one day. But it reminds me of something that we talked about a while back on this show, which is that there was an article, an interview, at least one, in which Rachel said that she didn't want anybody from her season to become the Bachelor because, as everyone presumed, she was just too jealous of everybody. Now I don't think that's the case. Now, I think after seeing all this, she was probably talking about Peter because she'd gone through it all already. She was probably talking about Peter, and she doesn't want him to have the satisfaction of getting recognition for, as she felt, not giving her way. That's my assumption. My assumption it has nothing to do with jealousy. It's all about the fact that she just doesn't want Peter to be recognized for in the same way that she was recognized.
I think that it lends itself to a little bit of jealousy. I think she would be jealous of anybody that ended up with him because ultimately that's what she wanted, and he wouldn't give her what she wanted,
that's
so
a good
she
point.
wouldn't accept him. So I think that there is a little bit of jealousy there because I think she still has strong feelings for him.
Yeah, I think so.
And
too.
she just made the easy choice because Bryan loved her so much.
Yeah.
Our next award, as you guys know, is Most Annoying, and we are also giving Most Annoying to Rachel for all of the above that Chris just said. For her demand to always have her way and not see other people's sides of the story. I mean, even this goes a little bit into one of the reasons we were so angry with after the rose ceremony, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of these big issues. We're going to do another video just kind of summarizing our entire experience of really diving into the Bachelorette and, doing these vlogs about it every week. And so we're going to talk about this more, but just even her way of, like when she talked to Kenny in the after the rose ceremony, or not after the rose, but the men tell all, like just her view of herself as always being right and being a diva in all of this and just wanting things to go 100% her way, and her inability to see other people's sides of the story. And I mean, it's just so annoying. And even when she sent Eric home, she was talking about how she wished that she almost like ran after him again because he was just so nice. And even that sounded really condescending. And while saying that, I was saying one of the other things that we found most annoying in this final episode was when we had just seen her and Peter talking. Yeah, we had just seen her, and Chris brought it up and picked up on it first. But we had just seen her and Peter talking about, their breakup, having her being really mean to him through that whole experience, and of course not being able to understand why he wasn't ready to propose and how he was questioning some of that, which any human being with a brain would do. Mm-hmm. And the first clip, and this is annoying on ABC's part too, but Rachel said this.
Same. They went to a commercial.
The first clip, after the commercial.
Yeah.
The first clip back into the show after we have been live with Peter and Rachel was Rachel packing up and putting all of her stuff out, getting ready to go to
the engagement.
The engagement, basically. At this point, Bryan didn't know that. She says, "Am I making a mistake? Am I rushing into this?"
Peter had gotten into her head.
Peter's gotten into my head. And so she had just been giving him all this crap about being unsure, and then she's having these same feelings toward Bryan. And it's okay for Miss Rachel to have these thoughts and feelings, but not because it's her life, but not about somebody else feeling it toward her.
Man.
It was just really, really, really annoying.
We were so mad. We had to pause the show and just get angry about it for a while. Just rip some pillows apart.
Scream,
break some glow sticks, do all kinds of things.
Throw our wine bottles against the wall.
Yeah. Ugh. Can't wait to not see her anymore.
The next award is most adorable.
Yeah.
This is a positive thing. We're not going to vent about Rachel as much.
Most adorable this episode was obviously Eric. There weren't really that many more people that could have gotten most adorable. And honestly, Eric wasn't even on the show for very much. In this episode, we got to see him get sent home. He wasn't expecting to get sent home. I think he thought it was going to be Peter, likely.
Because she specifically was talking to Peter during the rose ceremony, saying you can't make a decision, blah blah blah, and then she sent Eric home.
He was surprised. They're driving away in the car, and he's saying that he feels like he's leaving the love of his life, the person who's most precious to him, and she watches that and she's feeling all teary-eyed and stuff too. And then we get to see Eric kind of come out and they have that kind of closure, and it was really sweet.
Eric with a beard.
Eric with a beard.
Nice beard.
It was a really sweet exchange. He gave her all kinds of validation, which is what she really needs, which is one of the reasons I think she was so pissed at Peter, is Peter didn't give her really any validation at all. Peter pretty much just shut up. But Eric came out and he was like, you made me a man, and I didn't know how to love before you. I was a boy before you, now I'm a man. All this stuff that women totally would eat up in a circumstance like that, or women like Rachel anyways would totally eat up in a circumstance like that. And the kind of thing that a guy that's just trying to be nice would say in a situation like that. It's the kind of stuff where it's wow, that's kind of embarrassing for you to say on public television for people like us that really can't stand Rachel, and here you are, 30... How old is he? 28-year-old dude that's telling the whole world oh, I was a boy before Rachel taught me how to fall in love, which is I don't know.
That wasn't the most adorable part, but just the way that he handled all of it, I think was adorable, and how we still got to see that Eric smile a little bit.
He was just so nice at the end of all of it. He was just so nice. Classic Eric, so nice. So nice.
We hope he becomes the Bachelor.
He's most adorable, but I think I get annoyed with it because I don't want Rachel to have any more validation than she's already had. I'm so sick of people just celebrating Rachel because
there's a lot of things not to celebrate.
There's a lot of things not to celebrate. Yeah.
And I think, can I say something? Yeah. Just kind of off topic, but I think that's kind of what Peter meant when he said a mediocre life.
Yeah.
I think part of what he meant was that she was gonna be with somebody that wouldn't challenge her to be the best version of herself.
Yeah. That's absolutely true.
And he would just feed into how she was now, and Peter's the type of person that wants to be challenged to be a better version of himself and wants to challenge somebody else.
I have a lot of respect for him.
And in so doing, I honestly think that's what he meant by not having a mediocre life.
That's an interesting point. Who was the best dressed this week?
The best dressed is Peter, of course. Peter's always dressed really wonderfully. The suit that he had on when he came out to talk about how he was feeling in the final episode was very tailored. It was, a really awesome suit. And then he and Rachel were kind of dressed alike for a couple of their dates. And he had this great, foresty green sweater that was really cool. Gray sweaters. He just is always simply and perfectly put together.
Who was most likely to succeed?
Yes, that's our last one. it's a little bit different for this time around. So I guess Bryan and Rachel, the Bachelor franchise.
Guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see.
Actually, I'd love to know your all's thoughts.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are Bryan and Rachel gonna stick it out, and why? I mean, we know that like all she wanted was a proposal, not necessarily a marriage. That's what she kept saying to Peter, even though she wasn't necessarily saying it. She was describing that to Peter, that she just wanted a ring on her finger. Didn't mean they had to get married. She just wanted a ring on her finger. That was it. And
because she had been in a relationship for 5 years and the person didn't propose.
Talk about swinging to the other side of the pendulum.
She was thinking that that's how Peter would have been.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't want to propose after like a legitimate, not even 3 weeks of quality time together. To be devil's advocate, why they might succeed is because all Bryan has ever really known of a consistent woman in his life is his mother. Then his mother is obviously, as we've seen, a diva, a woman that gets everything that she wants, that wants to be completely 100% worshipped, no matter how crazy or strange or whatever her demands are. And he's been used to pacifying that and being part of that kind of a relationship. So some of the demands and the attitudes that Rachel wants in a man and kind of requires of her partner are all things that Bryan's been used to doing for his mother for his whole 37 years. So maybe they will last.
All right, so those are all of our awards for the final episode. Thank you all so much for sticking out this season with us.
It's been a tough one to stick out.
Yeah, we started this whole present tenses thing just thinking we'd start trying to get into like the whole vlogging world, and quickly realized that like we both have full-time jobs and vlogging takes a tremendous amount of work. But what we do really love is doing television show reviews, because we like to talk about this stuff amongst ourselves anyways, and so it's kind of fun to share it all out with you and hear your all's thoughts on it. So even though this episode has ended, or this season has ended, Megan noted that we're going to do one more to kind of give a recap on all of our feelings of this entire season, if not the franchise. And we're going to talk about why we're not going to do this for Bachelor in Paradise, and why this season of Bachelor in Paradise in particular really stirred the emotional soup of disliking the Bachelor Nation franchise.
And we just don't feel like with a good conscience that we can give it a lot of attention.
We're going to record that soon, put it up here soon, so make sure that you subscribe to get notified as soon as we do, or check back and keep an eye out for it. Beyond that, we're playing catch up on Game of Thrones reviews.
I was out of town for a couple of weeks, so.
Yeah, so we're publishing those here also, and we'll continue to do this with more television shows. So you who watches this, we likely watch a lot of the same shows, and if you like listen to us complain about shows we watch on TV and the people in them and the storytelling and all that stuff, if you like watching that kind of stuff and you enjoyed this, tell us other shows that you like to watch in the comments below, and which ones you'd like to see us do this kind of thing for, because we likely already watch that show too. We watch a lot of TV. And we'd love to, I think it'd be a lot of fun for us to do that. So, oh, and also another thing, we mentioned, I think 2 videos ago, that we were trying to hit 5,000 views so we could buy a nicer video camera and get off of our iPhones and like maybe try to get a little bit better of a production quality, get a microphone, some of that kind of stuff. But we did it. Thanks to you all.
Thank you.
We're almost at 6,000 views. So thank you all so much. That's awesome. We have like 41 subscribers. That means so much to us because, like we said, we didn't really expect anybody but friends and family to watch this stuff. So this has been cool.
Thank you.
So we're going to be buying a new camera here pretty soon, and maybe we'll talk about it here on camera. So you'll likely see just the production level of our videos change pretty quickly here. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe and share it with your friends.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear what you guys have to say and what your thoughts were on this final episode of The Bachelorette.
That's right. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
All right, you all. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Ready?
Yeah.
Bye, folks.